Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeannie Rodgers, and I'm from the Suffrage faction. Today, you would think that I am here to tear apart the labor faction, but I am not. I strongly believe that labor and suffrage are both important topics to address, but we should prioritize suffrage right now, because we could really use some women in the workforce. Not just the factory or the fields. I'm talking about high ranking jobs such as nurses, restaurant managers, or even political settings, for instance. This is the most effective way to liberate the largest group of oppressed people. Because not only that suffrage will benefit the economy, but everyone as a whole in the longer run. First off, I just want to break some ice. And by ice, I mean the sexist societal norm and beliefs that many of us hold right here, right now. We've seemed to be making some progress so far with the collectively known Civil War amendments. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery. The 14th Amendment granted citizenship to all persons born and naturalized in the US. In other words, it acknowledges the citizenship of people of color, including former slaves. And last but not least, the 15th Amendment grant the aforementioned demographics for voting rights to all men regardless of their race or previous condition of servitude. Up to the 15th Amendment, it is unanimously understood that voting should be the rights of all persons. So how come when all of these three amendments were passed, black men have the right to vote but not women? I'm not saying that they shouldn't just because women don't have the rights to vote. But what happened to that all persons? Are women not considered as persons too? Both of the population, women and black Americans, are oppressed. Yet women still don't have a voice or a choice. Not even in their home, let alone on the political issues, because men should charge public affairs while women should find their crown glory in the home as wives and mothers, since women are too frail to take part in the rough and tumble politics, and that her emotions and intuitive knowledge prepare her perfectly for a domestic role. Is that why we're not counted as persons? No, that's not it. Maybe it's because, and I quote, Harvard Medical School's Dr. Edward Clark. This is a good one. The rush of blood to the brain during study that a woman would, he argues, surely draws it from the reproductive system. So he argues that it is not a woman's job to be educated, but rather to mainly reproduce for the next generation. And therefore, no activity that diminishes her reproductive capacity should be encouraged. I'm sorry to break it to you, Dr. Clark, but I study at my desk about 5 hours per day. My vagina hasn't disappeared yet, and I still get my monthly period, if you're concerned. And I'm certain that I am still able to reproduce while getting my education too. Dr. Edward fulminated against college education for women. Why does a white privileged male have the right to tell a woman what to do with her life or her body? Why does anyone have the right to tell anyone to do with their life? It is people like Mr. Edward that have stopped women from having a proper education. It is people like Mr. Edward that has told women that their biological build predetermines their destiny, and that no matter how hard they try, it is likely that their fertile times are going to down the drain because of their label as being a woman. I quote from the same book. Science has found that sex differentiation and specialization of functions are marks of higher life forms. The specialization of men and women into distinct sex roles marks the evolution of civilization. The lottery of life can already be unfair, for that people don't get to choose where they're born in, what family they are born into, or what social class they're born into. But as of right now, it seems like the worst thing in the world to be a woman. Who would ever want to be born as a woman? Not even a white middle-class woman. I'm talking about every single woman in this so-called United States of America. Sure, states can be united, but not their people if they don't consider us women as persons. Nobody wants to be born a woman. First of all, we cannot vote. We cannot be involved in politics. We have to stay at home all the time. We have to care for our children and husband when sometimes they can become aggressive and hit us when he's a little bit over tipsy, or even sober when he's mad, just normal things. We're supposed to care for our family. And yes, I deeply care about my family, but why is it fair or normal for us women in the house to be mistreated if all we ever do is love and care? If we want to voice our opinions, we kindly ask our husbands, as we should depend on men all the time, because it is as if we don't have a voice box or a mouth to speak like them just because we have a vagina. Yes, male and females are ultimately built differently, but that doesn't mean that we cannot do half of the things males can. Simply put, the only thing that separates us, males and females, are our chromosomes and the fact that I have a vagina and he has a penis. If we raise our voice in the house, we might get beaten up. If we try to change, people think that we're crazy. When Elizabeth Cady Stanton stood up to Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence, mocking the sexist constitution that he had. Let's check this out. In Thomas Jefferson's version, he stated that we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And in Stanton's version, she said, all men and women are created equal. Okay, so I'm Thomas Jefferson for now. And the first text into the Declaration says, he has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. But, I'm Stanton now, he has never permitted her to exercise her inalienable right into elective franchise. Thomas Jefferson. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained, and when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend them. But he has compelled her to submit to law in the formation of which she had no voice. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish in the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. But he has withheld from her rights, which are given to the most ignorant, degraded men, both native and foreigners. Of course, this stays the same, that everyone deserves life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Or do they? It's ironic how the Declaration of Independence say, we, the people, but it always starts with he this or he that. Don't judge a book by its cover. After Stanton came up with this radical idea that her husband thought was insane, her husband actually thought that she was crazy. I can imagine him saying, honey, why are you doing this? This is not normal. Just let me speak on your behalf because this is crazy. Like, nobody would have thought she would have even thought of this idea. It is people like Stanton's husband who created this belief that all women should stay home and that no one should be educated. Society starves us women of our right voices and downgrades us to the lowest of the food chain. And you call us crazy when we try to stand up for ourselves. We are being treated like animals. You could use our body, do whatever you want with it, and expect us to behave and stay silent. Not like we can say anything about it anyways. No wonder why we're not seen as persons. It is people like Dr. Edward and Stanton's husband that prohibits us from performing at our best potential. Even worse, some higher-ranking jobs were occupied by women who did not marry, like they're not even allowed to do those jobs because they're married, since married women are supposed to stay in their house. It's sad enough how women have to be dependent on their men when it comes to expressing themselves, putting their voice out there, but it's even more depressing when it comes to working at higher-ranking jobs, higher-paying jobs too. because it's an opportunity for women to make a better living. If the argument is that women can take care of the family and it's better for the economy, she still has to depend on the men because they get all of the higher ranking and higher paying jobs. The problem isn't women being weak or that our reproductive system makes us more frail. It is the society construction that has caged us, women, physically and mentally. It is a spread of hysteria and false information that is not scientifically proven. It is people like Stanton's husband who created the belief that women are only capable of being a wife, caretaker, stay at home, and never rise up. Even worse, people like this make women think that it's normal to be mistreated. They don't even know that they're being mistreated. It's dangerous when silence and oppression are normalized. Some women don't even feel the need to be educated or change because they think that this is normal. The world could be a much better place if women work in all facets of the job, but we can't do that if women don't have a voice. We can't all be united if women are still oppressed and we cannot vote. We cannot move forward as a united, cohesive unit in order to improve our well-being as a whole in the long run if there is no suffrage. Women can be an essential part in the workforce. Women's suffrage allows them to advance their fight for equality. And why does it matter? Because labor will then be more efficient, and we can make more money too if that's the biggest concern right now. Why worry about working conditions right now if half of your factory are being treated like shit? Women can't be active in the workforce without feeling like their rights are being fulfilled. Yeah, not just women, but humans, anyone, have to feel like their rights are fulfilled or that their presence are appreciated in order to be active and productive in the workplace or in anything in life. And when I say women, again, I mean all women of all color, races, and age. It's us against the world, not us against each other. Nothing changes if nothing changes.